EU Summit, Italian debt, September's FOMC meeting minutes. Good morning and welcome to this week's Rational Thinking with me, William Jones, where I'm going to cover the main talking points which have been impacting the currency markets over the past week. So over the past week, there's been lots happening for the pound. Primarily the key talking point has been around the EU Summit in Brussels, whereby, you guessed it, we've been having some Brexit negotiations, which have been picking up pace of late, and there is some renewed optimism around us finalising an agreement. However, there are still some main hurdles which remain. Primarily, we've got the Irish backstop, and we've also got some issues with the Democratic Unionist Party, which still are causing some problems in us moving forward. So the main talking point last week was building up to this and how that was impacting the pound. The summit happened on Wednesday, and then on Friday we started to hear some news relating to how those discussions had gone and how Theresa May went. Ultimately, what happened on Friday is we saw sterling get sold off significantly, as it seemed that the talks hadn't gone particularly well, and Theresa May was expecting, and rather she'd resigned to asking the EU for a one-year extension in order to finalise a deal with the EU. Another key talking point, which is not related to Brexit over the past week, is the inflation figure, the headline inflation figure, which came out from the UK, which was released at 2.4%, and the figure had been expected to come out at 2.6%, which was seen as not particularly good for the pound. So overall, the pound really struggled last week. So now on to the single currency. The EU was obviously heavily involved in the summit over in Brussels, but there was some news relating to Italy and their current debt situation. The International Monetary Fund came out and said last week that Italy shouldn't budget for this great deficit that they're expecting to have. The EU does have strict spending rules. The Italian PM did come out at a later point and say that he is going to rule out leaving the EU, so there shouldn't be any issues from that side. So now on to the US dollar. The main talking point last week was September's FOMC meeting, which was as positive as you'd expect. The Federal Reserve are expecting to see strong growth out of the US. Economic activity is good and they continue to expect that to happen. The labour market is positive and they expect inflation to continue to be around that 2% level. So all signs point well for the US, and it doesn't seem like there's been any real impact on them relating to these trade sanctions. So looking ahead to next week, there are some key data releases happening. Obviously something to keep an eye out for in relation to the pound is any news relating to the Irish border backstop or anything related to the DUP party. The Eurozone, we have their rate decision, we have a press conference from the European Central Bank, and the US is releasing their gross domestic product figures. So there's lots of data coming out over the next week which could impact the markets. So thank you very much for joining us for this week's video. As ever, if you have any questions or queries, please feel free to reach out to us. Once again, my name is William and I'm on the corporate dealing desk, so if you would like to discuss anything on this video or if foreign exchange is impacting your business, please feel free to get into contact.